Viewed and listened to from over 35 countries from around the world, this is the GridCast. I am your host, Danny Cox, and with me is my co-host. He's a box owner and a grid enthusiast, and sometimes his first pull is even so good, don't need a second and third. His name is Conan Bruce. Conan.
You have a pretty good first pull.
It's magnificent. So on today's show, we are going to talk about how you can do grid anywhere. And on the second quadrant...
Yeah, we're just going to give a little update around the minor league world, the amateur grid league world. Tell you guys what's going on.
And we have Spitfire Sheila Barden from the LA Reign in quadrant 3. So let's go ahead and start the show.
Hey guys, welcome to Quadrant 1. We are going to talk about grid anywhere.
Yeah, so if you grab a football and you're out in a field with a bunch of friends and some guy's dropping back, playing 500, and he goes, 100, throws the ball, someone jumps up, grabs it, would you call that football?
I might, except I don't know what 500 is. So,
okay, if you're on a basketball court and you're playing horse, would you call that playing basketball?
No.
No, I wouldn't either. If you're playing flag football, do you call that football?
It's closer to football.
Or half-court basketball?
Yes.
Okay, so those are different scale options that would be for the larger sport. However, if you played 500 or if you played horse, that would not be a good scale option. You're kind of bastardizing the sport.
Right, you're using maybe the implements of the sport, but you're not really playing it.
Right, so if you look at grid and you try to do some of the movements maybe, you could be confusing it by calling it a functional fitness exercise instead of the sport of grid.
Right.
So
where are you going with this?
Well, so Grid has come out with something called Grid Anywhere, and that is at gridleague.com. So you can go out and on gridleague.com, and you can say, okay, I have 4 people, and I'm going to go do a basic match somewhere. So just like if you're going to go play baseball, there's the general rules. There's 3 bases, a home plate, a pitcher, and someone going up to bat. Or in football, you have flag football or two-hand touch, or, basic rules, QB, receiver, end zones.
Couple end zones, right?
Right. So same kind of premise, but you're going to go with grid. So grid, what makes grid is you have the different race formats into a larger match, right? And you can substitute people out. Co-ed is the preferred method, right? And you'll have bonus flags and the point structure. Basically, that's kind of like the overall and the start and finish line.
Right. You need those kind of basic fundamental pieces to say, I'm doing grid.
Right. So on grid, the different matches that you can say, okay, this is a grid match. You have, or different races would be partner forward, you got the echoes, mirrors, a mirror race, the ladder, Jack and Jill, triads, and a sprint relay.
Your favorite.
Right. So it kind of makes a grid match. So let's say we're out in the field and there's 4 of us. And by the way, there's some products that are going to be coming out really soon that we can't really get into fully yet. But
yeah, so
it's going to make it
let's back up
easy.
a little bit and talk about where this kind of came from. So we're really excited about this, by the way. We're kind of just getting right into the weeds of it. But just to back up a couple of steps, when we were at the pro days, several of the pro days, we kept talking to different folks from the league, different folks from Aleco, and there were whispers, there were talk, there's this whole thing about, hey, we're going to be coming out with a way that you can do grid anywhere. So I've talked about it, Danny's talked about it, we've talked about it on the podcast, we've talked about it, in public and just in general, where, man, we got to find a way that just like we can just play pickup grid. Like a bunch of friends get together, we go to the gym and we do it, right? And that seems simple enough, but hey, what if I want to do it at the house or in the backyard? Or, well, folks got together and figured out, okay, what are the elements that make it grid? If we keep those, how can we do that? So,
and the concern was like, if you go out and say, okay, I'm going to go do an AMRAP and then call it grid.
Right.
Well,
right,
that's
right.
not.
It's
not
just
grid.
working out, right? And this is different than just working out because there's different rule sets and all that. So anyway, the point is these guys did it. Gridleague.com, got to check it out. It's got a great downloadable package that kind of explains all this. And as we were talking about it, we heard that they're going to be coming out with products that's going to kind of help. So maybe, some kind of grid in a bag kind of deal or something.
Yep.
We're like, hey, you buy this kind of kit, and then you and your buddies can go out and basically go at it. And we're going to get more information about that as it goes forward. So and pretty soon, I think.
Right. So So again, let's say we're out in a field and there's 4 of us. Let's say it's 2 couples or something like that playing. So you can designate a start and a finish line. Let's say you have cones or quadrants or whatever it is to say these are the quadrants. And you could play in the most simplest form. You could play 3-match race, like partner forward, Jack and Jill, and a sprint relay, all with body weight movements.
Can you use beer cans to mark the quadrants?
Please use beer cans.
I was thinking that'd be great.
That's awesome, actually.
Empty beer cans.
Or you can go buy Gridlock beer.
Yeah. Drink it first, though.
Right.
Don't
yes,
waste it.
Please. That's also bottles, too. It's probably not.
By the way, this episode, I'm having a little tasty Audible Ale from Red Hook. Good, most people are familiar with Red Hook. It's good.
That doesn't meet my macros.
Not today.
Not today. So
it's 5 o'clock somewhere, so I had to have one.
So if you're playing partner forward outside in a field, it's all body weight movements. You could do burpee broad jumps with increasing difficulties as you go on through the quadrants, but lower in reps, just like how partner forward is supposed to be, with maybe jump ropes, 50, 40, 30, 20. For the jump rope. So it's pretty cool. You can do a Jack and Jill, which can be push-ups or diamond push-ups to elevated push-ups, or you can do a sprint relay. So you have like a bodybuilders, then 4 suicides and V-ups and hand release burpees, as you go on through the quadrant. So since you can do it anywhere in a field, what that means is that this can also be implemented into schools.
Right.
So elementary school teacher, a lot of those, gym teachers are like, I don't know what to do the kids today. Are we going to play, dodgeball for the 20th time? Or right. Now you can go grab the, whatever product, the grid and bag, whatever we were talking about before. Yeah. So you can grab that and say, okay, kids, we're going to go play grid. And it gets the kids moving, and you can get it into the schools. You can get the 5-year-olds working. You can go all the way to 80 years old.
Yeah, and our gym does a lot of those kind of after-school programs we do for kids and things. And I'm telling you what, you give kids a reason to race, and they're in, right? That's all they want to do. They want to move, and they want to race each other. And grid is perfect for that because you can get out there and do body weight movements or simple things with other kind of balls or, there's all kinds of stuff in a gymnasium at most elementary schools and most middle schools that you can easily make grid happen. Once you have the fundamental rule sets and the races that we've talked about, boom, there you go.
Right, and if you can do it in a field, then you can definitely do it in your own in your box, or you can do it in whatever gym, and then you can set the different skill levels. Like, let's say your best cleaner out there can only clean, 185 pounds or 200 pounds, whatever. And then you can base everything off of those, that skill level. So it doesn't have to be, some pros out there. No, you can do it too. You can also play grid, which is the really cool thing about this.
Yeah. Now we're getting to a point where everybody can play grid, where it's not just going to be pro level. I mean, what's amazing is this sport, of course, functional fitness sport has been around for about 10 years or growing in the past 10 years or so. But now we've got this way of packaging it where now I can wrap my head around it and I can play it. I don't have to have somebody that's some master programmer, right, come up with all this crazy stuff to do a throwdown. This is simple enough to wrap your head around. And what I think is really cool, and this is what's coming, you guys will see this all on the website, the gridleague.com website. They're going so far as to adding all these different functions that are going to be available to everyone to be able to set up your teams online. You're going to be able to choose which races you want to do, basically take a whole bunch of stuff and just put together a match easily, right? And then from there, have a scoreboard, have a leaderboard, right? All built into it.
So awesome.
Yeah, so you're going to be in I think it's great as a gym owner that I'll be able to, we've got a big 102-inch screen out there. I can plop up a leaderboard, matches, races, everything's up there. It's all done on the website, and we're playing grid on a Saturday afternoon here in the gym.
I've always heard when you try to introduce something new to somebody, always keep it stupid simple. Yeah. Or keep it simple stupid.
Keep it simple stupid.
Right? But this really does keep it simple. It's easy. If you're an organizer for an event that you're going to have grid races, why make up your own? You can go right here to this website, and once everything is finalized, and you can actually just come up with the races right there.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. We're actually going to do it in our gym. We're going to implement this, and I've already started to do it in our after-school programs with the kids. And just like you were talking about, Danny, with going into the elementary schools, because we've done functional fitness stuff in after-school programs already, but sometimes it's difficult to come up with, like, how you're always trying to put together new kind of ways to do it, and this simplifies it. And then kids, once they figure out what this is called, grid, how many other things have you come up with some crazy name, right?
And the other fun thing is too so the people at your gym or at the box who typically win the majority of the watts, who get the best scores or best times or whatever. The fire breathers in there that are always on top. But stick them in a team format where it's fair teams everywhere. It levels it all out. And this can also be a huge community building event where you're having pickup grid on a weekend. So at your boxes, you can say, hey, we're going to do pickup grid. You just go to the site, pull off the different races that you can have, and then all of a sudden your gym is a really fun place for everyone to go play pickup grid.
Yeah, and we've already seen this when we try to do this kind of stuff at the elementary schools and the middle schools. Is like you got this one kid who's like maybe not just coordinated yet or whatever, but can like really, really do good hula hoops or something, right? And we'll throw that element in there, and that kid's smoking it, right? But couldn't run as fast as all these other kids. So grid allows you to do that. You can easily change the movements, right? The skills. And that changes the level of grid that you're playing, whether you're playing at the elementary school level or the pro level. It makes it that much simpler. So this is going to be exciting.
Absolutely. So you have some information on some what's happening in the minor leagues. So without further ado, let's go on over to Quadrant 2.
See you over there.
Hey, everybody. In Quadrant 2, we're going to talk about a little bit about the minor leagues and what they're doing around the country. So, Conan, take it away.
So, you guys, if you didn't see the Off the GridCast we did with Marshall Crown from the DC Brawlers, he's the director of minor leagues. I try to remember everybody's title. Do right by him. Anyway, he basically helps manage the minor leagues that the Brawlers are involved in, which is quite a few at this point throughout the SAGL and now the MAGL, the Mid-Atlantic Grid League. So, right now, there are fundamentally 4 working, operating amateur grid leagues.
And we know we've heard of more than that.
Yeah.
We know there may be a 5th in the southern area. We got one that's maybe on the West Coast again.
Rocky Mountain area, kind of Midwest.
Right.
So if you guys hear us talking about it and you're like, hey, we exist, we got you. We understand. I'm talking about people that have like an operating website, Facebook page, and dates.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So they generally have some hard facts out there about the league. Right now, we have what would be maybe the granddaddy of the group, the Southern Amateur Grid League. The guys down there came out last year. We basically started at their invitational.
About to say,
sure
did.
So that's last year. Rolling in, these guys kind of get the ball rolling, and we thank them for it, right? Now, next, all about the same time, basically, a lot of folks start thinking about amateur grid leagues. So you've got the Western Amateur Grid League, which is, as I understand it, attached somewhat to the LA Reign. It's in the LA area. You've got the Mid-Atlantic Grid League, which is a combination between DC Brawlers and a group called the Capital Affiliate League, which is kind of a club-level functional fitness sport, match.
It's what I was in this past winter season.
Yeah, and we've had it here for several years. I think those guys were a little on the cutting edge with kind of putting a league together. It wasn't grid at that point. Now it's kind of merged over to grid because I think the format plays better.
And I just have to say, our box did bring in the championship trophy on the first season of Cal.
Season, and we do have quite a few, second and third and first places.
And we pulled another championship just the other day, I think, with Masters. Yeah.
Yeah, we did. So, we try to stay competitive while we're drinking beer.
Well, damn right.
So, again, we got Mid-Atlantic, we got Western Amateur, we got Southern Amateur, and we also have the Northeast Grid League. And when Marshall and I did that off the GridCast, we called it the NAGL. I want to correct that as the NEGL. You can look all these folks up on Facebook. They all have Facebook pages, have lots of great information. As a matter of fact, the SAGL just started their season, what would be, by the time this airs, a couple weekends. It was April 4th. I think that was the weekend. Had their first matches. By the time this airs, their second weekend of matches will have played out. So they're running. They're going, right? They had, I think they listed the winners on their Facebook site. You can go check them out. A lot of good stuff on social media. So, okay, we got 4 leagues that are basically operating. So what Danny and I did is we kind of just said, okay, let's take a look at these 4 leagues and see how they're operating.
Yep.
Because that's what
big picture.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing how they fundamentally are set up, because I think sometimes that gives clues as to what is working and not working. So lessons learned, hopefully for next year when we're going back and looking at this stuff. Because as you guys know, we're huge fans of Grid, obviously, and we are really dedicated to helping get out the information, and hopefully what we're doing is helping people think about the best ways to do this, so that Grid flourishes.
Yep.
That's the purpose for all this. That's the drive, man.
I dig it.
Right? Okay, so we got SAGL, WAGL, MAGL, and NEGL. Let's start with Southern Amateur Grid League. We already talked about theirs is already kicked off. They basically have so let's talk about seasons. We'll break it down into what kind of seasons there are. We'll talk about how the teams are set up, how many people, is it co-ed, that kind of thing. And then we'll look at basically how they are structuring the teams, meaning like what level of team this is.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So first off, the seasons.
There is a season. You can't keep saying that word without me singing the damn song. Sorry, go ahead.
So, Tyler, when you go through and edit this, can you put the real song in there instead of him singing?
Yeah, please. Do everyone a favor.
All right, so the SAGL, they kicked it off. Their season's going to run basically this year, April, May. It's quick and dirty. Boom, boom, boom. They've got 8 weekends in a row. It's all in Columbia, South Carolina, and they're hooking and jabbing. Now, remember, they started their invitational last year in
November.
2014, November. Yeah. Season starts in April. So there's a pretty good gap there. I think that was a good gap.
Yep.
I think it gave them plenty of time to go from invitational, get the word out, get everything kind of moving. Then they did some combines for the teams, gave the teams time enough to get together, and then now we've got a season. Okay? So WAGL, they're doing it a little bit different. So they're going to have a spring invitational. They're calling it April 25th at CrossFit Foothill. If you guys are out in the LA area, just to give you an idea to go by and check it out. So they're going to have an invitational. No season dates yet that we could find anywhere. If that stuff is out there, you guys send it to us and we'll correct that. MAGL, they're going to do a combine in May. I love this, Civil War tournament in June. So North versus South, red and blue. It's going to be pretty cool. I love it. I think it's a cool concept.
I don't know how the Irish are going to get involved with the the North and the South.
The hooligans don't care. They're just showing up to win.
I'm just going to show up in kilts and beer.
That's it. So Civil War tournament, which is a pretty cool theme. Their season looks like it's going to be generally September, October, November. Now, what they've done, as far as I can tell, is they've spread it out a little bit more so there's not matches every weekend. And I think generally that's to kind of take the edge off the travel schedule. Yeah. So let's think about this for a minute. So we're talking about SAGL, boom, 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 8 weekends in a row. If you live in Orlando and you compete in Columbia, South Carolina, you're back and forth, right? And now maybe they're not back and forth every weekend. I didn't look at the schedule to see how often each team is playing, but you guys get the general idea. That could be a little rough with the travel schedule.
If you're not getting paid as an athlete to do that, it's going to be
and that's one thing that we talked about in the off the grid with Marshall. The general consensus is these are unpaid athletes. So if you guys think about this for a minute, there's basically 3 levels of sport. You pay to play. So that's club level. That means I have to pay to get to do it, right?
Like Cal.
Yeah, or
Capital Affiliate League or
youth soccer.
Right,
I mean,
youth soccer.
You have to pay to play the sport.
Yeah.
There is minor league level and semi-pro where you don't necessarily you don't pay to play, but you might not necessarily get paid either. Right? It's an opportunity to develop and a potential to go to the pros. That's usually what that level is. So you're not paying to play, but you might not actually get a salary.
Or like in baseball, it's kind of laughable how much the minor leagues get paid.
But you get your travel covered, you get a little per diem, that kind of stuff. You're not having to pay out of your pocket. Right. So that's the consensus with these so far, at least particularly with the SAGL, MAGL, and NEGL, is that they're kind of setting up a system of semi-pro. Looks more semi-pro.
Right.
WAGL, the Western Amateur Grid League, not so much. So far, it looks like it's more of a, hey, let's just get together and throw down, right? Still grid. And
it's good because you have some community outreach there.
Right.
Which is great because anybody can play.
Yep. They have an advanced and a scaled division, which I thought was interesting. None of the other leagues do. The advanced, as they describe it, is maybe what you would look at Division I, Division II college level athletes. The scaled division would be beginners, right? Which I think is going to be interesting to see how that works out. Now, that's not much different, to be honest, if you're in the Mid-Atlantic area and what we have with Cal, Capital Affiliate League, and now the MAGL. So that's already built in out here. We already have that kind of low level, so I think that's why those guys didn't do the beginner.
Right.
Can't speak for the NAGL or the SAGL as to why, they didn't. Maybe they just decided not to have a lower level. But anyway, it's interesting to see the differences. And what's going to be more interesting is to play this out a year, 2 years, see what works, see what stays, see what you keep doing.
Well, so I had a conversation with Josh Plosker, and if you haven't seen that episode, you should go back. Kate Brierly was in the episode and interviewed Josh Plosker about the announcement of the NAGL, right?
Josh from the Boston Iron.
Right. So in there, I asked him a question saying, well, how are the different leagues going to interact? So where I was getting at was in college football, we know who the champions are at the end of the year because
it's a playoff.
Now there's a playoff. Yeah. but yeah, so but there's a champion at the end of the year, and I asked if the other leagues are going to interact, and it seemed to be that down the road there was going to be some interaction. So maybe there'll be a couple winners from each league that would be able to play and try to get there. But there's some differences, obviously, between these leagues and the different requirements that it would be for every team. And looks like they're starting to be taking place at different parts of the year. And so I think they need to talk a little bit more, kind of get a little more of a consensus across the leagues of the different rules, the however many people, and kind of try to figure that out, because I think if you can pull out a national champion of the minor league system, it'd be pretty cool to have. And,
I mean, we get it, right? This is the first year.
Yeah.
So anybody listening there like, dude, it's the first year. We get it. We
totally get it.
But let's talk about it, though.
Yeah.
Because here's what I think would be neat.
It should be on the honey-do list for later.
Put this on the honey-do list if you're listening, guys. Designate a commissioner for each minor league, right? Have those folks come together and create a minor league system of leadership.
So, you know how, like in Austin Powers, they had a mini-me? Can they be the mini-commish? So you have Aaron Bailey as the commissioner.
Of all things Grid, yeah. He just stands up there with his hands on his hips. Yeah. I think that would be funny.
Yeah, why not?
I don't know if he wants to do that. I doubt it. That's because I think there'd be a lot of drama going on at some point with all the different leagues. But anyway, a little organization, a little communication, I think will go a long way right now, early on, to kind of develop some standards. One thing I think is a very big, what we really have to look out for, and Danny talked about this in Quadrant 1 when we were talking about GridLeague.com and what the NPGL and Aleco are doing, creating this Grid Anywhere thing. They are very committed to maintaining the integrity of the sport.
Yes.
Okay? Each sport has basic fundamental things that make it that sport, and Grid has some elements. Some people may argue different variations of those elements, but it does have the races, the way the races are carried out.
The quadrants.
That makes it Grid. So we need to maintain that integrity, and I think at the minor league, amateur league, semi-pro league levels, that is going to be one of the things that, I hope that people would take on as a responsibility who are running these leagues to maintain that integrity. Keep the race formats, the same as so that if I'm doing partner for it, I'm doing partner for it, right?
Absolutely.
And there's not sections, there's still quadrants,
right?
Let's keep some consistency between all these leagues. I think they're all headed in that direction. We're going to find out more as it moves along. One other thing I do want to talk about is size of the teams. Right now they're a little all over the place. Generally speaking, well, I guess they're not. They're within 3 or 4 or whatever of each other. SAGL, I think they have 16-person teams. All the teams right now co-ed. I think that's awesome. Haven't seen where there's a requirement for 40-plus athletes. Maybe we'll look at that later down the road as it matures, I think.
Yeah, I think the number of players eventually has to get ironed out so it's more consistent. It's different if you and I and a couple friends go out to a field and go play. That's different than playing half-court basketball, for instance.
Level.
But if you're going to call it a league, then just like there's 9 players on a baseball field, there's got to be a certain number of players
I get you, but how many people play? How many people are on an NFL team? Anybody know? Somebody will tell us. I used to know the number. There's a certain
There's
number.
11 on each side.
Right, but
No.
11 play.
Yeah.
But how many people do they have on the team, right? It's a huge team. So same thing
Yeah,
with
30s,
baseball.
I think, somewhere in the 30s.
It's high. I think it's more like 50-something. But anyway, bottom line is each sport does have some, and each level of the sport. So an NFL team and a college team and a high school team have totally different numbers of kids as far as I can remember.
Right.
Right? Same thing with soccer. So maybe they won't be the same at each level, but generally they should be in the same ballpark. And especially how many you field.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
You're right.
I think that's where you were going with
yeah,
it. It's
absolutely.
how many people are active players that you're going to field on the grid.
Yeah, I don't remember any youth basketball team that I used to play on that it was 4-on-4. No, it was 5-on-5.
Exactly.
That's how it
exactly.
went.
So let's say the SAGL 16 person teams, basically 8 guys, 8 girls. MAGL, I think they're 14, 7, and 7. I think you have to play at least this season. You have to show up with 10, 5 and 5. NEGL, I think I read where they're going to go 16, 14 active, so that's 7 and 7. So those are all kind of close. WAGL looks like they're going to have 8-person teams, 4 and 4. Now, one of the reasons I think maybe they did that is because that's more accessible. So let's talk about why it matters as the different sizes of the teams. So if I have an 8-person team versus a 16-person team, that's double the size, right?
So if you're an 8-person team and you're running on race 11, you're going to be wiped out.
Well, before we even get there, let's just talk about logistics. So, I mean, I got to find 17 of my buddies that want to play with me.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or if I'm a team owner or a GM, and I recently took on the role as the general manager of the Nova Hooligans, we got to find 14 people that want to play grid.
Right.
So that's a lot of responsibility. It's a bigger effort than finding half that many, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing. The other thing is, why would I want so many people? It goes back to what you were just talking about, though. I want more people because then I can have more specialists.
Yep.
My bench is deeper.
Yep.
I've got lots strategies, much bigger play when I've got more access to more athletes. Once you start narrowing it below 10, when you've got 5 and 5, you got 4 and 4, you start to narrow that group of athletes. Some of the fun in grid, what we like about it kind of goes away where, if you got 4 people, that's all you got to choose from. For you're getting worn out because you can't sub out as much. There's not,
right.
And you got to be generalist. You got to be good at everything. So that's more, looks more like other functional fitness sports we've seen. Right.
Yes.
So having more people gives you more options. You can do more subbing. And we'll see. I think we're probably going to. I think 12 to 16, somewhere in there is probably going to be the
sweet
number.
spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what we got. That's what we're looking for. Again, if you guys are interested in seeing any of this, if you're in the part of the country that has a league going on, the SAGL's matches are going on right now every weekend. Columbia, South Carolina. They've got a great thing going on. They've got a great facility. WAGL, they're coming up Spring Invitational April 25th. That's at CrossFit Foothill.
Hells yes.
MAGL Combine May 30th and 31st.
Can't wait.
Here in beautiful Ashburn, Virginia. The Civil War Tournament's June 27th. NEGL is going to be getting a combine out in June, an invitational tournament in August, and we look forward to more dates from them for the seasons. Thanks for letting us get all this out.
Quite a good wrap up there. All right, so on the next quadrant, we have Sheila Barden from the LA Reign. So let's stop yabbering and head on over to quadrant 3.
See you there.
Hey guys, welcome to Quadrant 3. She began her CrossFit journey in October 2011 and is a proud owner of an awesome dog named Rue. She was a 2014 Reebok CrossFit Games competitor in California after participating in her 3rd regionals in the Northeast. She just qualified for the exciting Central Super Regionals, and she currently plays with Los Angeles Reign. With her mismatched shoes and all, it's Sheila Barden. How you doing?
Hi, thank you for having me, Danny.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So
I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited that you're here too. So tell me how you got into functional fitness and particularly the sport of CrossFit.
Beautiful. So I had always been a gym rat, but you would find me on the elliptical and I would be on for 45 minutes and I would secretly be racing you even though you didn't know that we were racing.
You're not a competitor at all.
So whoever I was on the elliptical next to me, I was always trying to go a little bit faster, and I was trying to make it so that I was putting out a little bit more power than them, but they never knew it. So before I even realized it, I was definitely trying to compete in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
So my husband got transferred to Syracuse, New York for his work. And we hadn't had cable in 3 or 4 years, which means we didn't have ESPN for 3 or 4 years. So imagine no sports. It was crazy.
It's a bummer.
And I know, right? We were living out of a hotel, and I came back one night and I turned on ESPN, and the 2011 CrossFit reruns were on, the CrossFit Games reruns. And I watched for a little while. My husband came home. He said, "What are you watching?" I said, "I don't really know what this is. It's a CrossFit Games." He's like, "Well, is it a sport?" I was like, "I guess. I don't really know what it is, but I don't know why these girls get to be on TV and I don't, because I can do that shit."
Right.
And 2.5 years later, there I was.
Oh, that's incredible. So we've heard and we've seen and we read that you only compete in the Reebok CrossFit Games open workouts once. When your competitors are attacking the workouts multiple times, why is it that you only do it once?
Yeah, so when it comes to the CrossFit Open, I am a strong believer that you only get one shot, because when I face my competitors at regionals who did the open workouts 2, 3, sometimes 4 times to get a better score than mine, it's really fun to go out on the competition floor with them and know that they only get one shot to beat me and I only get one shot to beat them. So my best friend, Natalie Anderson, and then her twin sister, who's also my bestie, Nadia Anderson, they competed on 2 seasons ago of Survivor.
I watched that. I watched Survivor, and they were on Amazing Race.
Amazing Race. Yeah, it was awesome. So Natalie actually won Survivor, and last year, right before regionals, they actually had to fly to Nicaragua and tape. So they left 4 days before regionals, and they didn't know that I even made it to the games until they got back on July 10th. But The point of the story is, we sat in my kitchen right before they flew out, and we all looked at each other and we were like, "Listen, we have one shot. We have one shot. You guys have one shot to win $1 million right now. I have one shot to get to the games." So every year during the Opens, it's me and the clock, and it's one time, and get to regionals and then have some fun.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. And that was really fun to watch the 20s on
They're awesome.
on Survivor and stuff. My wife and I were secretly rooting for them the whole time. So that's pretty awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
In real life, they're awesome too. So.
Oh, that's great. So take us through a day in the life of Sheila. How many hours do you train in a day? What does your training look like? Stuff like that.
Yeah, awesome. So my training is pretty crazy, especially compared to a lot of athletes. I always like to warn people that my training and what I do probably won't work for you. It's a lot of volume, and I don't have a competitive sports background. So I don't have the injuries that come with a lot of competitive sports. So my body's able to handle the volume.
Yeah.
In my typical day, I wake up and my dog and I go on a nice long walk, usually an hour to an hour and a half, somewhere between 2 and 4 miles.
Lucky dog.
Yeah, I know, right? I tell her.
Yeah.
Honestly, I look at Rue and I'm like, when I come home from the gym after a long day and she stares at me with the saddest eyes, I was like, "Rue, you got 2 2-hour walks today. The dog upstairs went out for 5 minutes once. Like, you are a lucky dog."
Right?
So,
that's so true.
Yeah, but she doesn't get it. She doesn't care. She's like, "Mom, you left me for 5 hours. My life is so hard." So it starts out with a nice long walk. I eat breakfast and I mobilize and stretch before I ever get to the gym. So in my living room, there's a nice yoga mat. There's some lacrosse balls, a softball, a couple trigger point rollers. So I got the whole 9 yards.
So you eat breakfast and then you torture yourself. Right. Yeah.
And you know it's so true. If you constantly torture yourself, the torture becomes less and less.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's because I'm really getting more mobile, or if you just go get so used to going to the pain cave that you're like, oh, well, whatever. It's just another day.
Right. Just totally used to it.
So I wake up, eat breakfast, walk the dog, all that kind of good stuff.
Yep.
When I finally get to the gym, my day almost always starts with 12 minutes of dynamics. Almost always. And it's almost always in the same sequence. And that's because I like structure and order in my life. And my coach knows that. So it's lots of butt kickers, bear crawls, high knees, all that kind of good stuff.
Yep.
And then I get more into a specialized kind of warm up, whatever I'm doing for the day. So it might be rowing. I might practice light wall balls. I might do some ring drills. I might get upside down against a wall, hollow rocks for Tabata, kind of just whatever's up for the day. Then my strength session is usually about 2 hours. So from 10 to noon, I usually do lots and lots of heavy barbell movements, and then accessory work. At noon, I coach and I eat lunch. And then I usually go home, walk the dog right around 1:30 for about an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I go back to the gym, and I can be in the gym for anywhere between 4 and 6 hours in the afternoon.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's intense.
I do at least 3 WODs a day and up to 5. And I swim 3 days a week. I have a gymnastics coach that I work with once a week. And I drive a 2-hour round trip commute twice a week to go do Olympic weightlifting.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
We talked yesterday about the commute. I was going to mention it a little later. That's nuts. That's awesome, though. Tell me why you actually do that. Why you travel 2 hours to go weightlift with other people?
Absolutely. So I joined the Nebraska weightlifting club. Actually, let's take a step back. So I moved to Nebraska in the middle of February. So that was really fun. I actually road tripped with the twinnies, with Natalie and Nadia.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was a 16-day road trip. And by the end, I'm surprised one of us didn't kill each other.
Holy cow, 16-day road trip?
16 days, and I got the flu in the middle of it.
Oh, that sounds crazy.
It was really, I wish we would have taped that because you would have seen us on the verge of almost killing each other multiple times.
That could have been a reality show all in itself.
Okay, it basically was. And we picked up Rue in Michigan, so it was 3 girls and a dog crammed into my little GMC train with started out with 2 pieces of luggage. Okay, we're all only going to bring 2 pieces of luggage. All of a sudden, the twins had like 6 suitcases. I'm like, where am I stuff?
Why does that not surprise me? I don't know.
Anybody who watches reality TV and knows Natalie and Nadia, you completely understand where we're coming from.
Totally. All right.
So anyway, I moved to Nebraska and I moved to Omaha for my husband's job. And I got here and, I kind of got into a funk. And the twins left me. They went back to New Jersey to live life, be awesome. And I was stuck. I was just kind of, training wasn't really fun.
Yeah.
It became a job. And when training becomes a job, you don't want to get up and do it. It's like anything. You have to love what you're doing. I didn't love what I was doing anymore. So my lifts started to suffer a lot. I wasn't even hitting 80% of my maxes. I wasn't even close. I would go in and I would dread having to lift by myself, to walk up to the platform and just me and music. And I'd never experienced that before. Training had always been fun for me.
Yeah.
So, I just did a little bit of research. I found a USAW club. If you have a USAW club in your area, go find it and join it, honestly.
Oh, heck yeah.
And now twice a week, I drive 2-hour round trip so that I can go lift with people and have fun again. And
that's important. That's so important. Yeah. So what do you bring to the LA Reign that is unique to you? Sure.
So I think what I personally bring to the LA Reign is the fact that when shit starts to fall apart, when it kind of gets a little bit crazy, I don't fall apart. I go deeper into the zone and I compete harder. And and I get it done when it needs to get done. So one of my favorite examples is when we were in the playoffs and we kind of got ourselves into a little bit of a pickle. And one of our athletes, our female, was supposed to complete some push presses with dumbbells. And, she fell just a little bit short. And she couldn't complete all the reps that we needed. They were heavy, heavy dumbbells. And so we had to have one of our males come in and finish the reps for us. Well, a couple movements later, a couple grid sessions later, squares later, we realized that we were going to have 5 males and 3 females crossing the line.
No good.
No good. No bueno.
No.
No bueno. We needed 4 and 4. So, Dusty grabbed me by the shoulder and he said, Sheila, you're going to need to do a freestanding handstand push-up. And I was like, okay, I can do that. Except that it was a 5-inch deficit freestanding handstand push-up, and I had never successfully been able to do one in practice.
No pressure. No pressure or anything.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's funny because I actually almost blacked out.
So sorry about that, guys. We got a little cut off there. It happens sometimes in Skype. So you were talking about how you blacked out, and you're kind of explaining that.
Yeah, so when I say I black out, I don't mean that I'm going to pass out on the grid. What I mean is I get so deep into a zone that I don't actually know what's going on around me. All I know is what I need to have happen, what I need to do personally. So Noah goes out there, does a great job, completes 5 of the freestanding handstand push-ups for us, and runs back, tags me in. And I don't really, to be honest, don't really remember being out on the grid. I know that I got out there and immediately fell flat on my face, trying to get up into the 5-inch platform. So I shook it off and I got back up and completed what everyone, myself and everyone on the LA Reign, thought was a really good rep and got no rep.
Oh, what a bummer.
Yeah, it was pretty hard. So
hey, ref, if you're out there watching this, how dare you?
Saying, you no rep me.
I'm going to get shit for that. I know it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I get up and I do then what is credited as my very first ever 5-inch deficit freestanding handstand push-up.
Yay.
Hey! And, like I said, when something has to get done, and even if I've never done it before, the team knows that I am able to stay level-headed. I'm not going to get caught up in my emotions, and I'm going to find a way to get it done.
That's awesome. And to pull off one of your first moves ever at a 5-inch deficit freestanding handstand push-up on the grid in a playoff scenario and a must-happen scenario, it's pretty amazing. Yeah. That's some kick-ass mind strength right there. So one of your videos online, you talk about your strength sessions as it's all about generating power and how powerful you are versus how strong you are. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So it is a well-known fact in both the grid and the CrossFit community that I am not going to be the strongest number-wise female athlete out there. My clean and jerk is 190 pounds. Lindsay Valenzuela clean and jerks 255 under complete fatigue. I mean, that's 60 pounds more than I've ever even thought about cleaning and jerking. So I am by no means strong in the sense that I can lift a lot of weight.
Right.
So if you're out there thinking, oh man, I'm 5 foot tall, 127 pounds, and I'm just never going to be as strong as the girls that I see on grid or in the CrossFit games. I'm here to tell you that you don't have to be. I mean, you don't have to be the strongest, but you do have to be mentally stronger than anyone else out there. So what I mean by that is when you're faced with adversity, you can't clam up and go in your shell.
Right.
When you are down by 5 reps in a Metcon, you can't start thinking about the very next WOD, right? You can't stop thinking in the moment. So my coach and I talk a lot about 1 rep, 1 WOD, 1 day at a time. If you're trying to PR your Fran and you're on rep 16 in the round of 21 of your thrusters, and you're already thinking about the pull-ups, the 21 pull-ups that you're about to have to do, you've already lost.
Yeah.
You might absolutely PR your Fran time, but you could have PR'd by more. The second that you stop living in the moment, it's over. And that's not to say that you can't be very, very good, but you're never going to be great by living in the future or living in the past. Focus on the 1 rep that you have to do right now, the 1 WOD that you are performing right now, the 1 day that you're currently living in. Because if at regionals, you're trying to max out your hang squat snatch, but you're focusing on the fact that in 3 hours you have to do nasty girls, so you're saving just a little bit in the tank for the next WOD, you've already lost. It's the same as in training. If you say, oh, well, I have 3 WODs today, so, I'm going to go pretty hard on the first WOD, and I'm going to go, not so hard on the second WOD because I'm only going to have 10 minutes in between the second WOD and the third WOD. But then I'm going to hit WOD 3. I'm going to smash that one. You're not really training. You did 1 really awesome WOD under fatigue, but you needed to do the other 2 WODs better.
Right.
You needed to do those as hard as you possibly could. So focus on that WOD. That's the only WOD that matters right now.
Yeah.
That when you're trying to PR, that's the only rep that matters right now. Don't worry about what's going on the rest of the day.
How
Do
did
your
you
best right now?
How did you get to learn about this mental strength?
Yeah, so there's a really awesome guy. Well, first of all, my coach, his name is Josh Mezzo. He's out of Syracuse, New York. I personally call him Commissioner, and he's pretty awesome. He's done some pretty crazy things to me. Like he locked me in a bathroom.
What?
I can't believe I'm telling you guys this. He locked me in a bathroom and he turned off all the lights. He shoved a towel underneath the door. It was completely pitch black in there. The bathtub was filled with water, and I sat submersed in the bathtub so that only my nose and my eyeballs were out of the water. I sat in there for almost an hour, and
Wow.
he told me to stop thinking, like just literally just sit in there and meditate without meditating. Just be so much in the moment of being submersed in this water that you forget about everything else. That
Sounds like some Jedi mind trick.
It was pretty much. That's
Yeah.
how it felt. So that's one example. I could go into example after example. He's been coaching me for a little more than 2 years now, and like I've said, I've done some pretty what people would think are crazy things, but I stopped questioning a long time ago because what he has me do works.
Yeah.
And so I stopped questioning. And so
That's
that's kind of
intense.
where it starts. My coach is literally one of the most mentally strong people that I know. And he's kind of been able to push me in that direction. And then recently, CrossFit and some trainers in New Jersey have hooked me up with a man named Ed Singh, Tseng, and he does Mind Fit. So he talks with gold medalists, Yankees, CrossFitters, people in the Masters for golf, tennis players, you name it, he's probably worked with them. And he helps people to become mentally stronger so that at the end of the day, circling back, you aren't just strong, you're powerful. So if we can
Nice.
be mentally strong and physically strong, to me, that personally means that you're powerful.
That's an awesome. That's an awesome stories and some awesome messages right there. And no wonder, like, so for me, I lift a lot of weights. Like I'm good at lifting a barbell. Give me a barbell, I'll throw it around all day. When it comes to those grueling workout, lung burner ones, it's really difficult for me. And those are the ones where I'm sitting there in round three. I'm like, so I think my knee hurts today, and I think I could possibly get out of this. And then somehow, by the end of it, of a 5 round, thing, I'm like, oh, hey, I'm done. Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God, I'm done. But if I actually employed a little bit of, just one rep at a time, just get through that one, I probably would be able to do that. So I'm gonna start doing that for the future of my
Good.
workouts. Yeah. So I like that. I like that a
Honestly, let
lot.
me know how it works.
Yeah, I will. I
And
will.
anybody is welcome. If you guys have questions, just ask.
And how do they
People,
get in contact with you if they do have questions?
okay, cool. Literally, the easiest way to get a hold of me is on Instagram or my Facebook. So my Instagram is Sheila, Sheila underscore Sue, Sue, and Sue is my middle name. So I get asked that a lot. Sheila Sue. And my Facebook is Sheila Barden. That's
Hmm.
my athlete profile page. That's usually the best way to get a hold of me because if you try to contact me through my personal page, which is also Sheila Sue, you're welcome to be friends with me on Facebook. You don't have to be. It's a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
It's harder for me to respond because honestly, I do get a lot more messages through my personal page, and it's just really hard to sometimes find time
Oh
if I
yeah.
the personal message.
I
I'm more
totally get it.
like if I think it's um, a, a fan or a colleague who's trying to get a hold of me, it's a lot easier for me to respond.
Yeah, sometimes it's easier for us on GridCast to respond to people on Instagram because if you just do the GridCast TV for us, it will see it every time. Versus on Facebook, sometimes we'll miss it because there's three of us checking Facebook, and did the other person check it? Oh, I don't know.
Yes.
So yeah. So changing subjects a little bit. Why do you wear mismatched shoes?
So that's a really good question. I have worn mismatched shoes since 2008, and there was an Olympic sprinter, and don't ask me who it was because I don't remember. And I saw them in the Olympics, and they wore two different shoes, and I don't remember that they were that good. I mean, obviously they were great because they were at the Olympics,
I
but
seem to remember this, and I'm trying to remember the person's name. Yes.
I don't remember who, and to look up at one point because people ask me all the time. But I saw that and I thought that it was the coolest thing that there had ever been. Right? So I'm what? 2008. I just turned 20, and I thought that it was so cool. So I was in college. I obviously could not afford to buy all my shoes to be mismatched. So I just started buying my gym shoes to be mismatched. And, it just kind of stuck. It's a talking point for me. So obviously I like to talk. And I like when people come into the CrossFit box and maybe they've never been there before and they say, oh, do you know that you have two different colored shoes on? And I always go, oh my gosh,
Oh,
I'm
dang it.
colorblind. No way. Oh, and they get so embarrassed. They're like, I'm so sorry. And just kidding, just kidding. I know I have two different shoes on. You know, for me, it just brings fun to my day. It reminds me to not take this too seriously.
Right.
Because when I was younger, if you would have asked me, like, what are you going to do? Well, first, I wanted to be a veterinarian, obviously. Who doesn't want to play with dogs all day?
Right.
Then I realized you have to take care of hurt dogs. And I was like, work for me. I'm out.
Yeah.
So then I thought, I went to college. I thought I wanted to be in public relations. And then I sat in a cubicle for a little while and I was like, nope, I don't want to do that either.
Mm-mm.
So then that's kind of when I fell into CrossFit and grid. And I was training for last year's regionals and kind of I'd heard a little bit about at the time it was called the National Pro Fitness League, now Grid. And I Googled it and I wasn't going to take part. I thought, oh, that's silly. You know, I just really, really want to go to the CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
Then the Boston Combine last year fell in between opens and regionals. And my coach and I talked about it and we decided, you know, it's probably a good idea. It's a good mental test for you to go in there and have to PR your snatch in front of people and to have to hit your max muscle ups in front of people. And just it'll be a good primer leading up to regionals without the chance of really getting injured in like a local competition.
Getting your mental strength ready for it. Totally.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I showed up at the Boston Combine and it was a lot of fun. And I didn't think it was going to be fun because to be honest, I'm not a great CrossFit team player. When I'm on a team, if I see someone on my team slowing down, I have been known to push them out of the way and start doing. So I'm not good in a CrossFit team setting. So I didn't think I would be good in a grid team setting. But come Sunday, I end up on Dusty Highlands, who is the head coach of the LA Reign. I end up on his scrimmage team. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, like, oh my gosh, this is Lindsay Valenzuela's coach. This is awesome.
This is the coolest. Yeah.
This is Kenny Leverage's coach. What's up? Like,
Yeah.
all these things. And so I'm right even before the match starts, I'm just happy that I have this experience to work with Dusty. And in the back of my head, I'm thinking, oh, this is cool. Like maybe I can have this really cool contact and he can help me with gymnastics when I make it to the games this year. And yes, I always say when, I never say if.
Right.
So I'm thinking when I make it to the games, you know, this will be a really great contact for me to have for gymnastic skills. Ends up that I race and I loved it. I didn't think I was going to love it. I loved it. I loved working with the other females, but I really liked that it was co-ed and that I got to work with the guys because that's never happened. When I was 5th through 8th grade, I played on our local tackle team.
That's so badass. Yeah, it is.
And in 7th and 8th grade, I was actually the defensive captain and I was a middle linebacker. Not because I was big. Trust me, I've been little my whole life. But because the boys would get off of practice and go home and play video games, I would get off practice and go home and study playbooks.
Oh, snap.
I have always had more male friends than female friends. I have always enjoyed playing in the mud, basically being a tomboy.
Yeah.
So for me to be able, I loved that experience. And I actually didn't play softball one year when I was high. You know, it was probably around the same age, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. I played baseball instead because I couldn't deal with the drama of the girls'
Right.
softball team. So for me, the grid was like being at home. It was for me. It was like being a kid again. Whoa!
Yeah.
I get to be on the same team as boys. Seriously, for real?
Who do I tackle?
Yeah. Wait, who can I punch? Can we go? Can we play in the mud? Oh
Do I
yes.
get to tackle Kenny Leverage, please?
Yes. So true. Kenny would take me. We're both kind of teddy bears, so we would be more like, meh, like this. So that happened, and I was really excited, but to be honest, I didn't really think anything was going to come of it because I think when you're an athlete, I don't care how high level you are. I think you will always kind of question your own ability.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can. At the time, I could do 15 unbroken muscle ups. Awesome, right? That's pretty cool. But in the back of my head, I'm thinking, yeah, like, Camille can probably do 18. And I'm thinking like, oh man, there's the guys out there like he can do like 22. 15's not very good. And that's problematic too, right? That's not being very mentally strong.
No, I was about to say, yeah.
It's not at all, but it is definitely one of my weaknesses. And I can openly admit that. I know that about myself. I question a lot about
Probably
my own
gives you a lot of drive too, though.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm never, ever satisfied because 15 muscle ups turns into 16, into 17, into 18.
Yep.
I'm lucky enough that for me, my questioning and kind of what's the word I'm looking for? My never being satisfied leads me to be driven.
Right.
So where other people will think, oh man, I can only do 3 muscle ups. And so, instead of practicing muscle ups today, I'm really, really good at the snatch. I have a 170-pound snatch. So I'm going to go to snatch because maybe I can hit a 175 today. For me, that's the exact opposite. With me, instead of saying like, man, I can only do 15, so I guess I'm just going to stay at 15, I think, man, I can only do 15. I really want to do 17 in a month. So on my bathroom mirror, I actually have a list of goals, and they get updated every single month. So this month's one of this month's goals is to hit a 300-pound back squat, and that has been 300 has been pretty elusive for me for a while now, and it's just never made its way onto the goal list. So this month for March, my number one goal is to hit a 300-pound back squat. So I've been doing a lot of glute ham raises, a lot of hip extensions, a lot of 3, 4, and 5 rep back squats. And come about the 25th or so of, sorry, it's April. It's not March anymore. Come 25th of April or so, I will attempt to hit my 300-pound back squat. And to give you an idea, my previous 1 rep max is 295 pounds. So I'm not too far off.
No.
But I've put 300 pounds on the bar a couple times in my life, and it has crushed me. So I'm going in with a better mental attitude this year, or this month, and I put it on my goal board, and you better believe that at the end of the month, every single goal on my goal board gets crossed off. I'm going to find a way now and April 30th to cross that off my list.
I've actually found a lot of as one of my friends in particular, but a lot of people who actually do this and they put their goals on a mirror that they look at every single day. They end up accomplishing those goals. One of my friends, he's a firefighter for the DC Fire Department. Ben, if you're watching, hello. Anyway, so he got married and he wanted to lose a lot of weight and he wanted to be a better husband, better firefighter, better husband than his parents, his dad was, to his mom and to everyone else. So what he did was he wrote some goals on the bathroom mirror, and he's one of the best guys I've ever known. He strives every day to be a better dude, and I find that people who remind themselves on a daily basis, these are my goals, this is what I want to accomplish, they end up accomplishing those goals instead of just saying one time, oh yeah, I want to hit a 300-pound back squat, and I'll get around to that. Well, then a year later, they're still at 295. Right?
Exactly.
But if you remind yourself every single day and you're making actions and you're doing things in order to achieve those goals, then you're sure as shit gonna do it. So that's awesome. Good for
Absolutely.
you. So if, last question before we get into our gridlock section. If you had a message to send to everybody watching, what would it be?
My message to everybody would be to have fun. Once this becomes a job, and once you dread waking up and going to it, you're not going to have fun anymore, and you're not going to do it, and you're not going to succeed. You have to make this enjoyable. Surround yourself with people who make you laugh and who push you to be a better athlete. And you, if you really, really want to be on a team like the LA Reign, obviously we're the best, or you want to go to the CrossFit Games. These are realistic possibilities. Like I said before, I'm by no means the strongest athlete out there, but you will be hard pressed to find an athlete that is more mentally stable in the face of adversity than me. And when it comes down to competition, I don't think there's I would argue that there are maybe 5 to 10 female athletes in the entire world who can dig deeper and find that dark place more than I can.
So you find the dark place.
Yeah.
You embrace the suck.
It really is. I have one quick funny story. Kristen Clever texted me right after all of the 15.5 scores were posted. And I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I'm 5 feet tall, which is real, real tiny in the world of rowing. So,
oh, yeah, that's right.
So when 15.5 was announced, the first flood of emotion that went over me was, oh, shit.
Yeah, those bastards. Yeah.
Right? The second flood of emotion that went over me after 15.5 was announced was, we got this.
Yeah.
And I knew that my coach and I, we had been rowing leading up to opens because we expected that we would see the rower come out again this year. So I was rowing, I still am, 3 to 4 times a week.
Oh.
Intervals, yeah, everywhere from Tabata to 7 rounds of 2Ks. So I've been doing a lot of rowing. And when my 15.5 score got announced, a 719, which isn't the world's best score, but for a smaller athlete, that's
damn
pretty
good.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent score. And Chris Clever texted me, I don't remember the exact words, but it was something to the effect of, Sheila, I don't know how you did it, but 15.5, holy shit.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
In my response,
coming from a previous champ.
Yeah, the 2010 Games champ.
Right?
Oh, I love you, Miss High. And she and I texted her back and I was like, Chris, this is a common theme in my life. I go, Chris, I actually blacked out during the rounds of 21 and 15. And not an exaggeration, the video of me doing 15.5, posted it somewhere. It's very funny. I go into a zombie-like state.
Oh, yeah.
My just blank. I'm not happy, I'm not sad, I'm not in pain. It's just like it's like I'm gone, like in another world, just chilling. My body's doing some work. And so that, for me, looking back, at the time, it was not fun. I laid on the floor, my legs hurt. But I look back, and that experience for me was fun. And that's what draws me back to the gym every day to train for the LA Reign and to train for the CrossFit Games.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. Well, now it is time for a section we lovingly call the Gridlock. It's a fast-paced 10-question round where we give you the answer that first comes. You give us the answer that first comes to your mind. You ready?
I'm real bad at this, Danny. So here we go.
Okay. Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles.
Beer or liquor?
Neither.
Ooh. Fran or Annie?
Fran.
When on vacation, do you head to the beach or the mountains?
Beach.
5K run or 6K row?
5K run.
You have to choose one. Either have a soundtrack follow you, mimicking your mood in everyday life, or every food item that you ever eat tastes like cake, complete with the sugar overload.
Oh, no. Soundtrack.
Rock or hip hop?
Rock.
Dogs
sorry. That was a lie. I choose hip hop and I want Drake.
Sorry, your first answer was rock. Dogs
I
or
thought we were
cats?
talking about rocks and stones.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs, duh.
Facebook or Instagram?
Instagram.
And who will take home the championship for the 2015 season for the NPGL?
The Los Angeles Rain.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. And good luck this season for the LA Rain. Good luck at the Super Regionals for the Central Region Reebok CrossFit Games. And so now we've completed Quadrant 3, and let's head on.
Thank you, Danny.
Hey guys, here we are, Quadrant 4, wrapping it up for you. It's been a great show. One thing we wanted to remind everybody, if you're listening to us on iTunes, please give us a 5-star review. Give us a few comments. Tell us how you're liking the show. Come to our Facebook page. Share it with your friends. Tell them how much you like it.
You have no idea how important it is to actually just share it with everybody.
Yeah, that helps us a lot because Facebook's got all these crazy freaking algorithms and crap. And
please share it.
Yeah.
Please share it.
The other thing that's really cool, so last episode we talked about our new relationship with Barbell Shrugged and their world-class weightlifting program, which if you haven't seen that, check it out. It's on our website. You click the world-class weightlifting picture. It'll take you over there, tells you all about the program. If you're into weightlifting, which we know a lot of our listeners and a lot of our viewers are weightlifting, either supporters of the sport, or they actually are athletes in the sport. So check that out. Also, big announcement. You'll see it come up on our website. It came out today as we're taping, but you'll see it when this comes out. We've got Eleiko on as a sponsor now also. Yes, very proud of that. We'll be talking more about that when we're out at the Combines. But that's exciting for us. You'll see that on our webpage. And then we've got another one coming up right behind that, but we'll save that for the Combines when we're out there.
And the Combine is April 18th and 19th.
Yeah, if you guys are anywhere near the D.C. Mid-Atlantic area, it's worth coming out to check it out. A lot of grid racing is going to go on. It's a little different than the Pro Days. Pro Days had a lot of testing, if you will. This is going to be testing how they work in a group environment. Yeah,
head to thegridcast.com if you haven't already. Check out the Eleiko on the top right-hand corner of the page, and also the World-Class Weightlifting by Barbell Shrugged.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah, until next time, clean up your jerks and snatches, drink your beer in batches, and always dominate your grid matches. See you later.